What's going on, YouTube? It's the first of the month. We are already in the 10th month of this year. 3 more months before the end of 2022. X-Men 1991 back again with another anniversary rant. This shit right here is going to be a very special rant. But first, here to give you my quick halftime report on tonight's college football game between the West Virginia Mountaineers and your Texas Longhorns. The Longhorns dominated the first half. They outscored the West Virginia Mountaineers by 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. Then they outscored them by 2 more touchdowns in the second quarter, while the Mountaineers scored a touchdown. So it's Longhorns 28, Mountaineers 7 at halftime. What's going to happen in the second half? We don't know, but we just have to wait and see. My full recap of this game is coming tomorrow. All right, now we got that out the way. Yes, sir. Today has been 30 years since the channel that was once the best place for cartoons first launched on television. Cartoon Network. As Mordecai and Rigby from Regular Show would say, "Happy 30 years, Cartoon Network." Oh! You know, that's something Mordecai and Rigby would say, since Cartoon Network is now the big 3-0. Bro, I can't believe it's been 30 years since Cartoon Network first launched on TV. I didn't watch Cartoon Network when it first launched. I was watching Nickelodeon at the time. I didn't start watching Cartoon Network until the mid-90s, when they was about to get out of the checkerboard era and into the powerhouse era. That's when I started watching Cartoon Network. You all know when Cartoon Network first launched back in 1992, the shows that they started airing were reruns of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons and the Looney Tunes. Then around the mid-90s, they started coming out with their own original cartoons like Dexter's Laboratory, Johnny Bravo, I Am Weasel, Cow and Chicken, the Powerpuff Girls, Ed, Edd and Eddy, Courage the Cowardly Dog, and Mike, Lou, and Og. In the early 2000s, Cartoon Network started coming out with more good original shows like Sheep in the Big City, Time Squad, Grim and Evil, Samurai Jack, Robot Jones, Codename Kids Next Door. Then in the mid-2000s, we had shows like The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Evil Con Carne, Teen Titans, and Justice League Unlimited. We had blocks on Cartoon Network like Boomerang, Cartoon Fridays, Toonami, The Acme Hour, Cartoon Network's Cartoon Theater. Cartoon Network went from its golden age to its silver age, its downfall, its death, dark age, and its revival too. But do I need to say this shit to you guys? Looking back 30 years later, just like Corporate Awesome said, Cartoon Network is not the best place for cartoons anymore. You know, all month long, last month, Cartoon Network did air some of their old shows like the Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Laboratory, Foster's, Billy and Mandy, Ed, Edd and Eddy, Adventure Time, Regular Show, Courage the Cowardly Dog, the original Teen Titans. They aired those shows all month long during the month of September. And today, between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m., or if you live in the time zone ahead of me, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., they air shows like Foster's, Teen Titans, the original Powerpuff Girls, Regular Show, Adventure Time, Chowder, Flapjack, Ed, Edd and Eddy, and Dexter's Laboratory. And it's sad that after today, Cartoon Network is going to go back to its original programming. I really wish they would have aired like the old shows all month long all month long this month because it is their anniversary month. 10 years ago, when they were celebrating their 20th anniversary, they aired classic Cartoon Network shows all month long from October 1st all the way to the beginning of November. And I wish Cartoon Network was doing that right now. But when they was airing the classic Cartoon Network shows all month long in September, they feel like they want to air it during the month of September from Labor Day to October 1st just to get it out the way so they can go back to their original programming. That proves to you that Cartoon Network, along with MTV and WWE, they don't give a damn about us viewers. All they care about is the money. Now, I want to show you guys the history of, let me see if I can look up all the presidents of Cartoon Network between 1992 and now. Cartoon Network presidents. List of Cartoon Network presidents. Starting with this person, Betty Cohan. Betty Cohan is the first president, and she is the founder of Cartoon Network. She was the president of Cartoon Network from 1992 until she resigned in 2001. Before her days as the president of Cartoon Network, Betty Cohan had previously worked as a manager of marketing for the Cable Health Network in 1982 and as the director of on-air promotion and promotion programming for Nickelodeon from 1984 to 1988. Under Betty Cohan's leadership, Cartoon Network became a global phenomenon with asset value of nearly $3 billion. During Betty Cohan's time of Cartoon Network, that's when we had blocks like Boomerang, Cartoon Fridays, and Toonami, the Acme Hour, and Cartoon Network's Cartoon Theater. And during her time on Cartoon Network, that's when shows like The Moxie Show, Space Ghost Coast to Coast, The What a Cartoon Show, Dexter's Laboratory, Johnny Bravo, Cow and Chicken, I Am Weasel, The Powerpuff Girls, Ed, Edd and Eddy, and Courage the Cowardly Dog, and Mike, Lou, and Og was introduced, as well as Sheep in the Big City and Time Squad. Dexter's Laboratory, in particular, was Betty Cohan's one of her favorite animated shows to air on the network. She is an incredible lady. If it wasn't for Betty Cohan, the Cartoon Network shows that I just named and all the blocks that I just named would have never existed on the network. If it wasn't for Betty Cohan, Cartoon Network wouldn't be called the best place for cartoons. So I want to say thank you, Betty Cohan, for all of you've done for this network between 92 and 01 for what, 9 years? She stepped down as the president of Cartoon Network the day after my birthday / Father's Day, Monday, June 18th, 2001, stating, "I was afraid I would die, the queen of cartoons." Yeah, it's sad that Betty Cohan is not the president of Cartoon Network anymore, but she has done so much to make this network be called the best place for cartoons. The next president of Cartoon Network is good old James Samples. On August 22nd, 2001, 3 days before Aaliyah's death, James Samples became the new president of Cartoon Network, succeeding Betty Cohan. That's when blocks like Adult Swim was introduced and Magoozy was introduced, and Toonami moved from weekday afternoons to Saturday nights. Also, during Jim Samples' time on Cartoon Network, we had shows like Samurai Jack, Codename Kids Next Door, Whatever Happened to Robot Jones, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Star Wars The Clone Wars, Foster's, Camp Lazlo, the original Ben 10, Class of 3000, the original Teen Titans. So Jim Samples has done a great job with Cartoon Network as well, and that was when the City era was introduced. During Betty Cohan's era, we had the Checkerboard era and the Powerhouse era. Jim Samples' era, we had the City era of Cartoon Network. And also, Adult Swim joined forces with 20th Fox Century to put Family Guy back into production as the anchor for Adult Swim before Family Guy left Adult Swim last year. It still sucks that Family Guy left. It's been a year since Family Guy left Adult Swim. After it aired on Adult Swim for what, 18 years? Adult Swim is the reason why Family Guy is still airing new episodes on Fox to this day. Jim Samples unfortunately resigned from Cartoon Network on February 9, 2007 due to the 2007 Boston bomb scare. So when Jim Samples left in 2007, that's when Cartoon Network died. Cartoon Network died between 2007, 2008, and 2009. Stuart Snyder, he was the one that made Cartoon Network terrible. He was the one that brought in those live action shows. He's the one that got Toonami canceled. He's the one that did so many horrendous shit to the network. But give the man credit where credit is due. Despite that, he fucked up Cartoon Network when he brought in those damn live action shows. The man still gave us variety. The man did the 20th anniversary of Cartoon Network in 2012. The 15th anniversary of Cartoon Network was trash. All they did was air nothing but Goosebumps and a marathon of Naruto, of course, to celebrate the 100th episode. But despite that he fucked up Cartoon Network when he brought in those live action shows, he still gave us variety. He still did the 20th anniversary of Cartoon Network in 2012. He brought Cartoon Planet back. He brought Toonami back. The man still brought in shows that kept people like myself watching the network. He brought in Young Justice and Green Lantern, the animated series, as well as the 2000 reboot of Thundercats, Generator X, etc. Yep. And look, Toonami is still on the air, what? Toonami is still on the air 10 years later after its revival. And it's still on the air 25 years later, despite that the block got canceled in 2008. So despite that Stuart Snyder did the wrong thing by putting live action shows on a network that's called Cartoon Network, he still gave us variety. Of course, Stuart Snyder resigned as the president of Cartoon Network on March 6 of 2014. Then we had Christina Miller. Oh my goodness. Christina Miller, she was the worst president. She was worse than Stuart Snyder. She made Cartoon Network go from bad to worse. All Christina Miller cared about was nothing but Teen Titans Go. And Cartoon Network didn't do shit for their 25th anniversary. All they did was show a bumper of all the Cartoon Network characters from the past and all the Cartoon Network characters from the present. That's pretty much all they did for their 25th anniversary in 2017. The same day O.J. Simpson got out of prison. Then, of course, Betty Cohan left Cartoon Network on November 27, 2019, 3 months before the pandemic. So we had Thomas Shame as the president of Cartoon Network, but I heard that Thomas Shane stepped down as the president of Cartoon Network in May of this year. So I'm not sure who's the president of Cartoon Network now that Thomas Shane is gone. And I heard that during Thomas Shane's time on Cartoon Network, they was planning to bring back live action shows, which I still can't believe that happened. Because the first time Cartoon Network aired live action shows, it didn't quite work. It didn't build their viewers up. Now they're planning to do this bullshit again. Just can't believe it. So, in closing, it's hard to believe that Cartoon Network is now 30 years old. I thought Cartoon Network would die at one point when it was airing live action shows, but it's hard to believe that it's still here 30 years later. I was only one when Cartoon Network first launched. 1 year old. I'm a year older than Cartoon Network. But I really wish they would have celebrated their 30th anniversary all month long in October. But they decided to celebrate it 1 month early before the actual 30th anniversary. So the one thing that we can do to celebrate 30 years of Cartoon Network is go back and watch all the Cartoon Network classics on HBO Max. And they made this Cartoon Network shirt for the 25th anniversary in 2017, which I got from Hot Topic. I'm not sure they still selling these shirts. You might find them on eBay or on Amazon. But I bought mine from Hot Topic in 2017. So that pretty much wraps up my rant celebrating 30 years of Cartoon Network, which I can't believe that this channel is now the big 3-0. And again, happy 30th anniversary to Cartoon Network. So I wish Cartoon Network the best of luck, and hopefully it stays on the air for the next, 30 years? Cartoon Network is pretty much the youngest out of that channel, Nickelodeon, and Disney Channel. Nickelodeon is pretty much the oldest. Nickelodeon is 43 years old? It was first launched as Pinwheel in 1977, but then 2 years later, it was launched as Nickelodeon. Next April is the 40th anniversary of Disney Channel and the 25th anniversary of Toon Disney. April 18th, 2023. 40 years of Disney Channel and 25 years of Toon Disney. I've already did a video in 2018 celebrating 35 years of Disney Channel and 20 years of Toon Disney. So we'll see if I'm going to make a video celebrating its 40th and 25th anniversary next year. So if you got any memories of Cartoon Network during the Powerhouse era, City era, Checkerboard era, any era of the network, let me know in the comments down below, what are your memories of watching Cartoon Network? What are your favorite shows on Cartoon Network, and what are your favorite blocks on Cartoon Network? My favorite blocks, of course, are Cartoon Fridays, and Toonami. And my favorite shows on Cartoon Network are Cow and Chicken, Dexter's Laboratory, The Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Ed, Edd and Eddy, the original Teen Titans, Samurai Jack, Totally Spies, Coleoco, and Justice League Unlimited. Those are my favorite Cartoon Network shows. If you're new here, hit subscribe if you like the content, and hit that notification bell for my next anniversary rants. Leave your comments down below and be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And I will catch you tomorrow for a recap of tonight's college football game between the West Virginia Mountaineers and the Texas Longhorns. And I'm also going to do a video tribute reaction to Coolio of his song for Dexter's Laboratory, What's His Name, Dexter. Don't follow your dreams, chase them. Peace. Happy 30th anniversary to Cartoon Network.